Okay, some of you may remember a couple of days ago I did a video on this 3-year-old boy who apparently took a gun out of his mother's handbag and mistook it for an iPod somehow and shot the parents. And they shot the father into buttocks area, and apparently the bullet had exited the father and hit the mother in the shoulder area. Okay. And so this was the original story as I covered in my article here. Let me just grab this here. Okay, it's called More BS Anti-Gun Propaganda Psyop Emotional Manipulation by Rob M. Okay, and I explained in this video how that was physically impossible for this to happen. And you can review the video, and because I don't have time to go through it all to explain it step by step as to why this story is complete bullshit and impossible for a 3-year-old to pull off. Okay, so watch the video and you'll learn why. In this video, it also stated that he pulled the gun out of the handbag, and here I'm going to cover today's story from CNN regarding the same story. However, the details are completely different. And let's read it and you'll see why. The parents of a toddler have been charged with child abuse after his 3-year-old son shot them both, according to a New Mexico criminal complaint. The shooting happened last Saturday afternoon at a motel in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The couple was shot apparently after the child grabbed a .45 caliber handgun. Okay, so right there the details are wrong. The original articles from the original police complaint stated that the gun was a 9mm handgun. Now either the police department in Albuquerque are completely inept and don't know the difference between a 9mm handgun or a .45 caliber handgun, or one of these news outlets reported it wrong. Okay. The original article that I covered said it was a 9mm pistol. It didn't state what make it was. And so, hang on, we'll go through this and read the rest of it. Okay, so CNN is claiming it's now a .45 caliber handgun, not a 9mm. From his mother's purse and fired one shot, striking both his father and his pregnant mother. Okay, the original article said the mother was pregnant as well, so that coincides with the original story. Both parents were arrested Thursday on a charge of child abuse without great bodily harm. According to a state criminal complaint, the boy and his 2-year-old sister, who were also in the room, were not injured in the incident. CNN is not identifying the parents to protect the identities of their children. In the complaint, okay, this is where it gets interesting again. Police say the children who have not been identified by name were in the motel room with their parents. The boy jumped up and managed to grab his mother's handbag from on top of a small refrigerator about 3 feet high. Okay, let's stop right there. The original article said that the boy grabbed the handgun out of his mother's purse and had made no mention whatsoever of a small refrigerator about 3 feet high in the room. Okay, so there's more indiscrepancies between the two stories, which is making me really suspicious about this whole thing. I think it's a whole BS hoax, and again, CNN has embellished the story further than the original one and got the details completely wrong, because the original police report, according to the original article, said it was a 9mm, and the boy took the gun directly out of the handbag, mistaking the gun for an iPod. Again, let's go back to the original title. For an iPod in a handbag. Okay? So you see the discrepancies between the two stories here. And if you watch the video, you'll see that I covered that it's a 9mm, not a .45. Anyways, let's go on. So we left off discovering a loaded 45 caliber Smith & Wesson semi-automatic firearm. Now they're saying it's a Smith & Wesson and actually trying to identify the firearm, which was not mentioned in the previous article at all. It just stated it was a 9mm pistol of some type, which had been purchased earlier that day. The toddler fired a single shot, striking both adults, according to the criminal complaint. The complaint adds that the bullet hit the father in the buttock area. Okay, so that coincides with the original story. The projectile then exited through his upper thigh. Okay, so this is starting to completely escape the original article and sounds more embellished. Striking and exiting the mother's upper right arm. Okay, so again, this is not coinciding with the original article, which says the bullet struck the mother in the shoulder area, and it made no mention of the bullet exiting the shoulder. So here they're saying it struck the upper right arm. So again, more indiscrepancies between the two stories. The father then reportedly immediately disarmed the child and placed the gun back inside the mother's purse and on top of the refrigerator. Okay, again, this is total embellishment from the original story. The original story said the father immediately sat down and took bandages and bandaged his girlfriend, who was shot in the shoulder, and making no regard for his own safety or his own bleeding, apparently. So this totally does not coincide with the original article at all. Again, there was no mention of a refrigerator in the original article either. Both parents were treated and released from a local hospital. It should be noted that the father was with the mother on this date when she purchased the firearm and ammunition, the criminal complaint said. The father knew the firearm was inside the mother's purse. The complaint goes on to say the parents acted with a reckless disregard for the safety or health of the children. Well, maybe if this article was true, perhaps. I find it, between the two stories, I find it rather hard to believe, actually. And I explain why this thing was a hoax in my original video here. So make sure you check it out. But anyways, let's go back here. According to, here we go. That's what happens when you don't secure a firearm and you're unsafe around firearms. Albuquerque police officer Simon Drobick told CNN affiliate KOAT, children have easy access to them and people got hurt. According to KQRE, federal charges could be filed in the case because the father, who is a convicted felon, and not allowed to be around guns. Okay, well, if that's true, that makes sense. Albuquerque said the mother is 8 months pregnant. The boy and his 2-year-old sister are placed into temporary custody with the Children's Youth and Families Department. Both parents are being held Friday at the Brunello County Metro Detention Center, according to authorities, with a bond set at $15,000 each. Okay, so here we have it, folks. So many indiscrepancies in this story compared to the original. I would say this thing's a frickin' hoax, and it's been embellished, as they always do when they do stories like this. You find more and more details embellished. You find the details wrong, like the two articles stating that the gun was 2 completely different calibers. First one says 9mm, this one says 45. In this article, the weapon is identified as a Smith & Wesson. The original article, it's not identified at all. It just says it's a 9mm pistol. The wounds, the bullet wounds, are completely different than the original article stated. There was no refrigerator mentioned in the original article. And like I say, if you check out my original story, I explain why this whole thing is a phony fake show. And well, here you go. Let's go back to the original. Check it out. Rob M. More BS propaganda, psyop, emotional manipulation. And I explain why this thing's a phony hoax and why it's impossible for a 3-year-old to pull the trigger of a semi-automatic. The trigger pull's too heavy, the gun's too heavy, and the kid's fingers are not long